Looks good, Chris. I see it.
Okay, great. Welcome, everybody. This is the January 11th, 2021 regular board meeting of the Portage Park District Board of Commissioners. My name is Christine Craycroft, Executive Director. I will turn it over to our current chair, Tom Hurdy, to start the meeting. Tom, you're muted.
I was hitting the wrong thing. There we go. My name's Tom Hurdy. I'm the current president of the Board of Commissioners. This is January 11th. It is 5:32. I want to start the regular meeting. If we could have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Orshan,
Here.
Commissioner Engelhardt,
Here.
Commissioner Hurdy,
Present.
Commissioner McKinney.
Here.
Thank you.
I guess at this point, this with the meeting, or is Scott going to take over? Or
We'd have to go through the first part of the meeting
Okay.
until we get to the election of officers under new business.
okay, great. Moving on to number 2? Is there any public comment available?
I did not receive any public comment.
Okay. Has everyone been able to look at the minutes from the December 14th regular meeting and the December 28th emergency meeting? And if so, are there any corrections and or needed changes to those minutes? And if not, can I get a motion to accept the meetings from December 14th and also the December 28th emergency meeting, please?
I'll move to approve the minutes from December 14th.
Okay, Scott looks to approve the minutes. Do I have a second, please?
This is Chuck. I'll second for the 14th.
Okay, we have Scott approving the meeting minutes of the 14th and Chuck seconding the minutes from the 14th. Can we have a roll call motion on that, please?
Commissioner Orshan,
Yes.
Commissioner Engelhardt,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurdy,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now moving on to the December 28th emergency meeting. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes, please?
I'll move. This is Alan.
Alan moves. Do we have a second, please?
This is Chuck. I'll second.
Okay, in regards to the December 28th emergency meeting, we have Alan approving and we have Chuck seconding. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Orshan,
Yes.
Commissioner Engelhardt,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurdy,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 4, the presentation of the financial statement from December 2020 month and year-to-date report and cash balance. Are there any questions or concerns in regards to those statements? And Chris, is there anything that you want to point out that stands out?
Just that I added, in addition to the regular reports that we give you, in fact, the report that I gave you from our financial system, Munis, that's showing right here, I went ahead and ran it for the detail since the beginning of the year. So you can have in one file every transaction that we did, from expenditures to revenues, for whatever future reference that you want. So that's why that one might look a little different. It's the full year. And then this is the report that you're used to seeing. Rory does these for the month to date. But then since we were at the end of the year, I went ahead and did a comparison. This is for our general fund. Of the far right column here is the 2020 actual revenue and 2020 actual expenditures. And then in this column here, the colored column, I have what our initial 2021 appropriations are in those different areas. So it's a reference point. You'll note that at the bottom of the 2021 budget, it shows that we have, the balance is $1.4 million at the bottom. That's because these appropriations were made on the certification that we had gotten from the Budget Commission based on what we anticipated. Turns out we carried over a lot more from 2020 to 2021 than we originally estimated. So when the Budget Commission meets at the end of the month, they'll certify that additional carryover. And then if not next month's meeting, at a subsequent meeting, we can appropriate that additional carryover into different lines. So, and I would anticipate that might go to capital depending on how these projects pan out. So that's that. It just gives you a sort of a close view of comparison between last year and this year. And that's the only difference then.
Are there any questions in regards to that financial statement, or can I have a motion to approve those?
I'll move that we approve them.
That was you, Scott?
Yes.
Okay, do I have a second, please?
Second, this is Alan.
Okay, we have Scott making the motion and Alan seconding the motion. Could I have a roll call vote, please, on the presentation of the
Wurschan,
statement? Sorry.
Commissioner Wurschan,
Yes.
Commissioner Engelhardt,
Yes.
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next, number 5, we're moving on to the executive director update. Chris, are there some things that you'd like to highlight, please?
Yeah, so as you know, we've got a few different land acquisition possibilities in the works. So continuing to work on those. Under the Eagle Creek Greenway, 1A and 1B, this is the project that had already been funded by Clean Ohio. That's 2 parcels up in Hiram, and for whatever reason, there was a glitch in Columbus, and when they dispersed the funds, they sent them via check instead of wire. So I don't know where they are right now. One of the checks arrived at the escrow agent, and the other one is 3 weeks out now. So I'll see what I can do to follow up with the state. I mean, we do have confirmation that they dispersed the funds via check, but the second one hasn't been received yet. The check that was received was for the 68-acre parcel, and we should be able to close on that. No problem. I'm still trying to connect up with the Carlisles and their attorney to confirm that. The second parcel, which is the larger parcel, that's the one that has the gas lines that go across it to serve the houses. And when they had their attorney look into it, there were a couple of issues with the existing gas lease, and one of the lines had not been memorialized in the lease, if you want to put it that way. So that in addition to the check not coming, we have to work that out. I'm working with the prosecutor's office and their attorney and the Carlisles to come up with some kind of an amendment to perhaps the oil and gas lease that's existing, and then any access agreement. So anyway, the prosecutor's office has helped me with that, and that's our current status. We haven't closed on yet. I'm hopeful that we'll all come to agreement here, and the check will arrive soon, and hopefully we'll be able to close before the end of the month. Let's see. Our audit, our biennial audit that is being done by an outside firm. This is the first year we've used an independent public accountant. Usually the state auditor's office had done our audits, but they wanted us to use a private firm this time. We did, and I think perhaps with COVID, they just got backlogged on things. So we don't have anything for that right now. They're working on it, And I'm not sure what our current timeline is on that audit. And then we're starting to work with preparing our 2020 financial statements with a different independent accountant who is working with us to prepare the reports. And also I'm going to be working with them to review our fund accounting practices and see what options we have for those special revenue funds and capital improvement funds, so to reorganize those. And then I'll put it out there for anybody from the staff that has anything to highlight that you've been working on. Craig, anything you want to add?
No, I have the items that I listed. Everything's going well here at the Operations Center. It's taking a little effort, but we are up and organized and running well. And again, I appreciate the board for all the support here. And be glad to answer any questions.
We've got some stable internet out there, I hear.
Yes, it's working great.
Awesome. Helps with productivity. For sure.
So we really appreciate that.
Yeah, and just so the board knows, we're also looking into a copier lease out there for them, since we've got several people out there now, and the desktop printer just wasn't cutting it. So we're gonna get them something a little bit more functional.
Right.
So Chris, what's going to happen with the Oakwood office?
Well, Rory and Andrea and Jen and I are occupying it here and there. Most of us we're working from home mostly. Rory's probably been the one that's in there most often. So for now, our administrative address will still be there at Oakwood until we get to the point where, pardon me?
The bulk of the staff is at the operations center.
Correct. Yeah, with all of the equipment.
Is Chief Steele out there?
Yes, he is.
Okay, great. And welcome. I see him on the call.
Mhm.
Hi, Zach. You have anything to add?
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me. No, I just see on there we're getting all the equipment we need and settling in nicely. But working in patrol and getting everything set up, though.
Excellent.
Yeah, Zach's made a nice calendar where he's rotating days and time. So he's getting a lot of good coverage throughout the day, and then he's splitting it up so that we get some weekends in there a lot as well. So I'm happy with the schedule that we've got working out there.
Excellent.
Andrea, you have anything to add?
I just have a super quick note on the Wild Hikes Challenge. We ran out of medallions. I think we're on our third order. So that's exciting news. That means we ordered in 2020, I think we're at 375. So there's still quite a few people turning those in and waiting on some medallions. So that's up from about 180 in 2019. So another banner year. So we're expecting about 400 people this year. So we're really excited about that.
Awesome. I'll get you a form. I did it.
Great. Yep. Please do.
Bob, you have anything to add?
No, everything's on there, helping with the grant, and excited that we are getting a piece of equipment from our Crooked River Cooperative Weed Management that we're a part of with all the other Cuyahoga River partners. We'll be clearing a lot of invasive shrubs at Trail Lake and Towners Woods. So that's coming up by the end of this week.
What machine are you getting, Bob?
It's a CSV mulcher. Actually, Cleveland Metro Parks houses it and cares for it.
Okay.
It was acquired through the weed co-op probably about 6 years ago. But
Yeah. How long do you get to use it for?
I think we'll have it for about 10 working days. So,
Okay. Well, let me know how that goes, especially maintenance and upkeep wise too. I mean, that just kind of curious what your experience is with it. Hopefully it'll be a good one, but let me know.
yeah, we used it in 2017 and
I don't want to jinx myself, but we got nothing but compliments from Cleveland when they picked it back up. We took great care of it. So
Oh, good. Yep, it's nice to have a piece of equipment like that that can be shared, so.
yep.
One of Bob's jobs with it is clearing another secondary trail at Trail Lake on the sort of the outer limits of the property, going through some heavy brush and invasive trees and shrubs. So that'll give us another, I don't know how many feet we're up to at this point, but that'll be a nice addition to our trail system out there at Trail Lake.
Which is absolutely packed. We talk about paving the overflow.
Well, I tell you, I know I was there on Sunday and people were parked in the overflow, and 50 cars on Sunday afternoon when I was there. But beyond that, you know, any day of the week, my average is probably about 15 cars that I see there on a regular basis. So it's, I don't know what the rest of the staff has been seeing, but super popular. Yep.
Just a note, the trail counter there in November was over 8,000.
Wow.
Yeah, so my volunteers, I think it was close to 4,000 in December. And, you know, if you mix in the holidays and weather, that makes sense. So we're keeping tabs on that. And I have volunteers that are analyzing that data with the weather for us.
That's fantastic.
All right, well, that's it for me, unless anybody has any questions on the report.
Oh,
This is Chuck. One question, Chris, going back to the beginning thing with the lost or delayed check. I mean, how long do you wait on that? Or would the state consider canceling it and wiring it if after a period of time, or?
Yeah, I had inquired about that before the end of the year, and at that time they weren't ready to roll with it. But I'll get back with them tomorrow and just, you know, see, and see what kind of mechanism they have for tracking it too.
Yeah.
I would hope that they would be tracking an $800,000 check.
I can't believe they put a check in the mail, period.
I know.
You just don't do real estate transactions that way today. You don't.
I know.
I'm just amazed to hear that. When I saw it, like, oof.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not.
Just a note of information from, it took 28 days to get a check from Memphis, Tennessee, $500 letter and check.
Wow.
Well, and I just wanted to say we're at my workplace seeing a large volume of delayed mail too.
Okay. Well, I'll let you know as soon as that comes in. And
Oh, good. Thank you.
Again, Chris, moving on, are there other information or briefing things or any old business?
The only other information item, and we can talk about it when we get down to the resolution on the Headwaters Trail bidding, but I had a very welcome phone call from Chris Bednar, our engineer today. He apologized for a pretty big mistake they had made in calculations prior to our last meeting. We were looking at those cost estimates, and I think it was probably almost an order of magnitude off on their cubic yardage for the fill, but it worked out in our favor because it turns out that the options that we were looking at are now within budget. When we were looking at it last time, we were going to be bidding 2 alternates and then, making a choice after that. And then potentially, having to transfer over another $150,000 from our general fund. But it looks like with his estimates, again, it depends on the bid, what we get. But it looks really good. It looks like we're within our budget on that.
Excellent.
Okay, well, it looks like the first resolution is election of officers for 2021. Anything to be said in regards to this, or just make a motion to approve?
This is Chuck. I'll move to approve if there are no comments from anyone else.
Well,
Okay,
we need
so
we need a nomination, is that correct? We need, and Scott was up. In that case, I move to nominate Scott McKinney to be our chair for the 221 year, 2021 year.
I'll second Scott's being president for the next upcoming term. Do we have?
And then we have in our resolution, we also have first vice president and second vice president officers.
Right. I would like to make a motion of nominating Chuck to be the first vice president and also Alan to be the second vice president. Anyone like to second those?
I'll second.
Scott seconds the motion on Chuck and also Alan being second vice president. Can we have a roll call vote on this resolution?
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes.
Commissioner Arshan,
Yes,
Commissioner Engelhardt.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, as the change of guard happened, I'm going to continue with the meeting or pass it over to Scott at this point in time.
I'm with you continue, Tom.
Okay, let's look at our second resolution, which is setting the regular schedule of the meeting dates for 2021. Now, is this, Chris, is it the usual?
Pretty much, most of them are the fourth Monday. There were a couple that ended up on holidays, and of course,
Okay.
today is not the fourth. So I put the dates in there in that second paragraph.
Right. It looks pretty straightforward. Does anyone want to make a motion to set the schedule, or are there any concerns about those dates? I can't see anything myself currently that jumps out on those dates for me.
I'm not available on February 22nd. I could do the week before, but otherwise staying with the rotation makes sense to me.
Okay, I think the week before is a holiday.
It's President's Day, yes.
Okay.
That's okay.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
This is Chuck. I'll move to approve the setting of the scheduled regular meetings for 2021 as
I'll
proposed.
second. This is Alan.
Okay, Chuck makes the motion to set the dates and Alan seconds. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner Arshan,
Yes,
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes,
Commissioner Engelhardt.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to item C, the resolution approving the December 2020 expenditures. Chris, is there anything of note in regards to this? Anything unusual?
Not really.
Okay, just a question. Does anyone have any questions in regards to this? If not, can I have a motion to approve the December 2020 expenditures, please?
move that we approve.
second. This is Alan.
So was that Scott making the motion? And
Yes.
Alan second. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner Arshan,
Yes,
Commissioner McKinney.
Yeah.
Commissioner Engelhardt.
Yes.
Thank you.
In regard to this resolution, Chris, this is about the Gressard property.
Correct.
It's a purchase agreement. I don't see any figure here.
I just heard back from Bob about an hour ago. So he's accepting our offer of $500,000, which was the appraised value.
Okay. So again, this resolution will include the purchase and sale agreement of $500,000 with Robert Gressert under resolve. Is that true?
Yes,
Okay, you just make that change?
and I'll make that change when I
Okay.
go to sign it.
Are there any questions in regards to this purchase property by anyone?
Oh, I mentioned to Chris earlier about revising the map for the property. She said that's forthcoming. So basically, we know where the boundaries are.
Okay.
Right, yeah, the purchase agreement that I had shared with you all, the draft it as an exhibit, it had just sort of a hand-drawn map of the front parcel that he was splitting off of that. So the appraisal took that into consideration, that there wasn't going to be a front parcel there, but he still needs to get me the legal description, which I didn't have for that. But I'll get that and use that as the exhibit for the purchase agreement.
Okay, Chris, could you pull up that the picture of that map? I had a question about a piece of property on that.
Yeah, let me find it here.
Because it looks like all the property that we have or we're purchasing is really lines up well. And there was a big chunk of property in the middle that I just kind of wondered what the status of that was.
Okay, gotcha. You're thinking of the overall map?
Yes.
Let me pull that up here.
I mean, because it seems like we've got that whole corridor, but there's a chunk to the left and the middle. And I didn't know what property that was or where that stood for the future. Just kind of wondered.
That's what you're looking at there?
Yeah, the kind of yellowish one in the middle.
Yep, that's Herrick Fen State Nature Preserve.
Okay, so that's already.
It's already preserved. Yep.
Great. That's great. Okay.
This property, if you're, we've had some questions about that. We actually looked into that property a couple of years ago when that was on the market, but it did not have a favorable environmental review on it, so we passed.
Okay. Okay, that answers my question. I knew there was obviously a reason that property. Oh, I see it on the bottom. I didn't look at the legend. Sorry.
Hey, Chris,
Yeah.
you've probably answered this question before, but is there a possibility of getting a trail across the eastern half of the Herrick Fen to connect our different pieces of property?
Yes. And I'm sorry, Bob put together a nice map with the trail connections, and I can take a minute here while we're doing some things and try to pull that up out of my files if I have it in the right folder. But yeah, basically, we're looking at a trail connection coming up through here. And then this area right here, there's already a trail in Herrick Fen. So we could come up from Trail Lake, connect to Herrick Fen trails, and then from there, jump over to here and then to this. So I forget how many miles or linear feet that is. Bob, do you have an idea? I don't know if you've got, maybe he's not on. Oh yeah, there he is.
Can we take bikes across any of this?
I don't believe we can have the bikes on this property because it's being funded through EPA, and they're tougher than Clean Ohio in what they allow. I'll double check on that, but we do have plans for hiking trails here and then here as well.
Yeah, I didn't get an exact measurement on, how long that trail would be to go to connect on maybe like the northeast corner of our ADA trail and to get up to Gressert, but we did draw it up.
We'd probably be looking at at least a couple miles of trail between those two properties, I think.
Yeah, I would say so.
I can certainly email you that file with the draft trails on it.
Can you email us the map that you have on the screen too?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Chris, with the other lake that's to the northeast adjacent to Herrick Fen and that smaller 13-acre parcel. Are there any concerns or is it, no, the next one up north, there you go.
Yeah,
Well, I guess both of them. I mean, as far as our ownership and if the general public starts to fish in those two ponds or whatever, I mean, do we have an idea of what to expect or can we permit it? Are we a little concerned with, having adjacent neighbors and, people venturing off park land and onto private property? I mean, is that something we should talk about or?
it's a good thought, Chuck. We have some preliminary ideas for making a connection up from Trail Lake to here, but right now this property is not open right now to the public. There's no trail to get there. This parcel here is also owned by Bob Gressard, and he knows we would like that at some point to connect everything and to sort of sew up the boundaries of this lake right here. But no, that's a very good point, Chuck, that people will sometimes wander and do what they want to do. And we'll just have to, keep an eye on that.
Yeah. With the Fen property, is that a permitted use fishing or not? Since they have land there in that. So it's not a permitted use.
Correct.
Okay, from their perspective. Okay. I just think it's going to be complicated and something we may want to start thinking about as we piece that together and think about putting a trail through there, and it'll make it a lot more easily accessible and probably enticing, I guess.
Yep. That's a good point.
Well,
Anything else?
Yeah, I sure would like you to have you look in to see what kind of possibilities are for trail across those northern properties. It'd really be unfortunate to have all that land and not have public use, at least of a trail part of it.
Yeah, we will definitely have hiking trails. And this right now, our preliminary plan that we submitted to EPA shows parking right up here off of Season Road. So we'd have a small parking area here, and then a couple of loop trails going on this. And then, if we're successful in acquiring this, then we're going to have a little loop trail here and then drop down to Herrick. That's the grand plan anyway, is to connect them all with trails. And I have talked to the Nature Conservancy who manages Herrick Fen, and they've expressed openness to that idea. But again, that would have to be a collaboration with the Nature Conservancy to make those trail connections. Anything else?
you want to go back to the purchase agreement and see if we can get a motion? If there's no other questions?
Let me see if I can. Trying to get this right screen up here.
I'll move that we approve the purchase agreement while you're working on that.
Okay.
Okay, Scott makes the motion to approve the purchase agreement. Do I have a second for that?
This is Chuck. I'll second.
So we have Scott approving, Chuck seconding. Can we get a roll call vote on the approval of the purchase agreement for Gressard?
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes.
Commissioner Roshan,
Yes,
Commissioner Engelhardt.
Yes.
Thank you.
If we can move on, the next one is authorizing to submit a Clean Ohio Conservative Grant application. Chris, is there anything you want to discuss in regards to this?
No, just that what's good about this particular project is we're able to use the Ohio EPA funding of that parcel to the north as match for this parcel. So if we're successful in getting the grant, then we are not going to be out of pocket any money.
Great. If I don't have any questions, do I have a motion to approve the application for the Clean Ohio Conservation Grant for the Tinkers Creek Greenway Phase 3?
This is Chuck. I'll move to approve.
Chuck makes the motion. Do I have a second, please?
Second, this is Alan.
Chuck makes the motion. Alan seconds it. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Herdy,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes.
Commissioner Roshan,
Yes,
Commissioner Engelhardt.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, this is the resolution to authorize the truck purchase. Again, Chris, this is basically through the buying cooperative that we use.
Actually, with this one, we don't have to go through the cooperative because it's under $50,000. So we don't have to bid it. Craig did get 3 quotes.
Okay.
There are the 3 quotes there. So, and he recommends, and I concur, that we go with the lowest cost there.
Okay. Great.
question about, I'm just curious about the truck. It's a crew cab with a long bed or a short bed or what? What is it?
No,
Craig?
no, Alan, that's what we would call a super cab. It's not, it has an extra seat in the back, but it's not that full size, full 4-door seat. It's that partial, what they call a super cab. And yeah, it is a 4-wheel drive. I think we've indicated that on there. But Zach and I have spent quite a bit of time looking over, the accessories on it. And I believe he's pretty happy. I think he's getting what he needs to function. And I think the cost came through. I was pretty surprised. So
Yeah, it looks good.
May I ask, we're setting this up for law enforcement, correct? That's what we're purchasing this for. Will this truck be suitable? And do we have plans on setting it up in case we have to kind of detain or put someone in it, if you will, for transportation or purposes or other things of that nature?
well, if I may, and Zach's here as well, but we have discussed some of those items that he would like to have outfitted for that, so he could assist other local departments if that need arose. He wanted that vehicle to be able to perform at that level, and so we're trying to get him everything that he feels he needs. In the past, we had outfitted, if you recall, the Escape that Doug Shepard used, the previous Ranger, and it has some reds and blues and PA and siren on it. We're going to do our best to reuse those items, but the additional equipment Zach needs, we'll have the vendor come out here once we have the truck on site, and we'll visit with him and we'll get those things installed just as soon as we can.
Okay, that's fine. We just want to make sure that it's. I trust you guys vetted it, and it's what's going to serve the need with it being improved from a law enforcement standpoint with all those amenities. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. If we could go back, Chris, to that resolution.
Yes.
Okay.
I was just trying to pull up, I thought I had open already the most recent cost estimate that he sent. See if I can get it back up here.
Have we approved the truck yet?
No, we have not yet. We have to do that.
We just have to go back and then forward.
Okay, I move we approve the purchase of the truck based on the staff's
Alan,
recommendations.
right, Alan makes the motion to approve the purchase of the truck. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second.
So Alan makes the motion and Scott seconds. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes.
Commissioner Roshan,
Yes,
Commissioner Engelhardt.
Yes.
Thank you.
I guess now we're moving in regards to the bidding of the Headwaters Trail.
Yes, so what I have, if you can see my screen there, what I have up is the revised cost estimate that I just got today. I did email this to you all earlier in the day too. Don't know if you had a chance to get it, but this was the big item here that changed the number. So, like I said, I think, I forget what the old number was here, but it dropped it down considerably. And our grand total then, including the contingency, is 253,128 or 125. Our grant from the state is 288, which is intended to be 75% of the total cost. So we still have to come up with the 25% match on our end, but with the overall costs dropping, and hopefully the bids reflect that, it's gonna save us some money. So that's great. And I know before we were looking at the different options, I'll just recap them quickly. There were 3 options that Chris presented us last month. The first one was a straight up 4.75% slope right down the middle of the trail, right up to the road. That at the time, with their estimate then, was the most expensive, and it would be this time. He didn't give me a revised estimate for that option. But the complicating factor was that it would be putting a lot of fill over existing utility lines there, one of which is a MCI line. So the second option that he offered, the second and third options, were to push the trail away from the center line of the railroad up and sort of bench it into the hillside that's there, which saves us a lot in fill. Saves us money, and really doesn't, the overall, grading could be the same. So those 2 options, one was to create those landings, if you'll recall. So, to be compliant with ADA, they suggested landings that were at 4.75% slope, and then the portions between that would be, I think, a little over 7 or 8%. So it'd be like sort of some flattened stair steps, going long stair steps going down. And I think we all agreed that would not be the ideal situation, even though it was less expensive. The third option is benched into the side of the hill, but at a continuous 4.75%, which is with an ADA, and it would have a wood railing along it. That's the option that I would recommend. I think it would be a better user experience, and now it is well within our budget. That's the one I have up right now, is that 253,000.
Great. I remember that from the presentation last month. I think it makes perfect sense, and I'll move we approve it.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have Scott making the motion to approve the bidding of the Headwater Trail Phase 7 construction project, and Alan seconding. Can I have a roll call vote on that, please?
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes.
Commissioner Roshan,
Yes,
Commissioner Engelhardt.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. And I think we have one final resolution, Chris?
Yes, and we do this by journal entry usually, and this is the annual appointment to the Regional Planning Commission. Alan has been our stalwart representative forever, and does an excellent job. So I guess it's up to him whether he would want to be considered again or if anybody else wants to do it.
I'll do it again unless somebody else has a dying need to be the planning commission.
Thank you for your service, Alan.
Yes, thank you, Alan. And Chris, just as a heads up, I'm still seeing the Headwater Trail 7 alternate bid
Okay.
sheet. Just, I don't know if everybody else is looking at, it, but that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I
just so
got it.
You're aware.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything else to display at this point, so
Okay.
I'll just.
No worries. Yep.
Can we have a motion then? We need a motion for the journal entry, or,
Yeah, we'll go through the motion and vote on that as well.
okay. Can I have a motion to appoint our representative to the Portage County Regional Planning Commission, that being Alan?
I'll move.
And I'll second.
Scott made the motion and Chuck second. Can we have a roll call vote on approving Alan as our representative to the Portage County Regional Planning Commission?
Commissioner Roshan,
With reservations, yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Engelhardt,
Yes.
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney.
Yes.
Thanks.
Chris, do we have anything in executive session to discuss?
We do not.
Okay. Since there's nothing in the executive session, if there are no other questions or concerns, can I have a motion to adjourn today's meeting?
Yeah, wait a minute. I have a motion. I have a concern.
Sure.
That I'd like to mention, I've mentioned it before, I believe. Our trail marking destination signs are very attractive, nice graphics, not very user friendly. And I wish we could initiate an alternate method. We were just in the ledges in the Metro Parks. Saturday, I'm sorry. And it's simple markings with lettered trails and arrows. And it's simple, not as cute as ours, but you can tell where you're going. I hope that we can consider revamping this in time. I know it's not going to be immediate or whatever. We could put our little graphics on the sign along with the letters, but unless you've got to memorize the symbol or have a map with you to know where you're going out there. And it's like I said, it's not very user friendly in our parks, especially Towner's Woods, which we were in yesterday.
Thanks, Alan. Those are some good thoughts. And I know we do have to enhance our signage, wayfinding signage in different areas. And I know we've talked about doing some blazes and confidence markers along the way. But if I understand correctly, you're saying that you'd like to see the actual name of the trail on it in addition to the symbol?
Name of the trail with an arrow. Our standard, excuse me, our standard symbols, like I said, it's a nice graphic, but people don't remember how to associate the symbol with the trail.
Okay. Well,
Just to build on what Alan's saying, it's definitely an improvement from where we had been in the past. One of the things that, and I agree with the blazes and the confidence markers, and we've talked about that before. One of the things I see at the state parks, which are helpful, is they'll put a mini map and they'll put a letter, and then you can see the other letters on the map and you just follow to where you are. But at the major junctions, there's a map. And it's not big. It's a small map, but it's enough where you can see, oh, well, here's an intersection and here's where I am. And then okay, when I get to this next letter, here's where I am. And it's, I think, a nice, helpful thing that they do.
Okay, well, I'm happy to sit down with staff and put our heads together on that and give a fresh look at things and see what we can do. We do get, comments occasionally about people being lost out there, especially at Towners, because it's a bit of a confusing system of trails, but.
On the flip side, wow, we've really come a long way with the number of trails we have. So this is a good problem to have.
Yes.
Okay, well, very good. Anything else?
If not, can I have a motion then to adjourn today's meeting?
This is Chuck. I'll move to to adjourn today's meeting.
Great. Chuck made the motion. Can we have a second, please?
Second, Alan.
Great. Can I have a roll call vote on adjourning today's meeting?
Commissioner Orishan,
Yes.
Commissioner Engelhardt,
Yes.
Commissioner Herdy,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. Now I'd like to thank everyone for bearing with me during my tenure. And Scott, I'm looking forward to you leading us forward in the next year.
Thanks. Thank you.
Good job, Tom.
Thanks
Thanks,
a lot.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Happy
Good
New
night.
Thank you.
Thank you.